Yo, 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 yo. Hey, guys, welcome back to the Best Practices Show podcast. My name is Kirk Behrendt. We have one specific, very specific goal, and that is to bring you the best thinkers, the most knowledgeable people in dentistry to help you create a better practice and a better life. And today, I bring in another great friend of mine who I've had many times, Dave Monahan, who's the CEO from Kleer. This guy is brilliant. And he shares with us how to improve your results, automate more with less work, and the intelligence behind this data. I promise you, you're going to enjoy this. So check it out, and we'll see you guys soon. Hey guys, welcome back to the Best Practices Show podcast. I love that you're showing up. Number one, thank you just for showing up. And number two, every time you do, this is my promise. I'm going to bring you great thinkers, intelligent people in dentistry. And if you listen carefully, it's going to improve your practice and your life. And I have got a good friend of mine, Dave Monahan, who is the CEO and founder of Kleer. And we're going to be talking about how you can greatly improve your results. You can automate them too. And it'll happen in less time, and how you can do that because the world is changing and they've introduced a whole new intelligence platform that we're going to be talking about. But I'm so excited to hear. So Dave, thanks for joining us, buddy. I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me back, Kirk. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So now I got to say this. Every time I talk to you, I learn that much more. You're a sharp guy, and what you're doing is changing the game for us and a lot of the people we serve, not only on the membership side of things, but the data side of things. And I think one of my favorite phrases that I always throw around is machine learning. Like you've got a team and somebody on your team that has a master's in machine learning. Now that just freaks me out every time I even put that phrase together, but it implies that you guys are learning things while I'm sleeping. So I like that. So that's kind of cool. And then transferring that learning to us. And, you know, we're going to talk about these results because I think every dentist watching or listening is like, listen, I just want to create some progress and some results, but we often get stuck on how to do it. But let's start here, Dave. I always want people to know who you are. You just got back from ADOM. I heard you had an amazing time there and created an awesome presentation for everybody. But who is Dave Monahan? What's Kleer? Can you share that?
Yeah. So real quick, Dave Monahan, you sort of implied it, but I'm an engineer by training and was in, I worked for Northrop Grumman, Defense Electronics. We did avionics controls and surveillance systems for fighter aircraft and drones. I did that for about 6 or 7 years, got an MBA as I was doing that, and then moved over into the business side. I ran a number of businesses for Microsoft, and I learned a ton there, including at that time when I was there, there were about 20,000 employees. When I left, it was like 70,000, but got to spend time with Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer and those guys and just learned an absolute ton. I went off on my own. I was CEO of a small company called FitLinks, and we did wearable devices that monitored health and fitness. We did the product everybody knows that we did was called Nike Plus, and that was that little chip you put into your shoe and it tracked your runs. And then from there, we built up a bunch of products, but one that we ended up, the company got acquired basically for our body-worn technology. So we created patches that can monitor your cardiovascular system and send that data through wireless networks and get it back to wellness providers, fitness providers, and healthcare providers. And then after I sold the company, tried to figure out what I wanted to do next, ran into somebody who owned 6 dental practices. He told me about the woes of dental insurance and the woes of trying to get people into the dental office. I had no idea about either one of those. So I was curious and spent about 12 months doing market research. From that market research, we created Kleer.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So it's really clear that this is not your first rodeo. You've done a lot of this before. And I think one of my favorite things about you guys is you guys just you didn't create this to just sell a bunch of product. Like, you really went into it with a pure heart of helping dentists maintain their freedom. And through it, there's some vehicles, there's some learning. And every time I'm with you guys, it's awesome to get this learning. And today we're going to be talking about, you guys have had over 7,000 installs, not only solo practices, but DSOs in all 50 states. And one of the biggest jumps, when we're talking about results, we can get really specific on this. You're talking about increasing treatment acceptance over 142%, production growing at 172%, and collections at 182%. Now I'm going to stop you right there. Those are big numbers, and most dentists are going to go, oh, yeah, whatever, okay? And I'll tell you guys, Dave's a data guy. So, like, where'd you get those numbers? Tell us how those numbers came to be and why.
Cool. Yeah. So I'll start with the value proposition and why those numbers sort of get generated, and I'll talk about how we measure the results. So at real high level, your fee-for-service patients, so your uninsured patients, through our market research, we learned they feel very exposed when they walk into your dental practice. So they don't have coverage. They're not getting, any access to discounts. They don't want to negotiate pricing. And so they're just feel exposed. They don't want to come in, so they don't come in very often. And when they're in, they don't accept a lot of treatment. I know you're going to have your wealthy fee-for-service patients that are going to pay full fee, come in all the time. Well, that's a tiny percentage of the total. So on average, a fee-for-service patient comes in about half a time a year or once every 2 years. I know people will argue with me on that, but that's data straight from practice management systems. Right. So you got that one set of patients, right? On the other side of the equation, you have your insured patients, right? They actually come in 1.5 times a year, right? And they accept a lot more treatment than your uninsured, but you're giving away on average 33% off of your full fee. Plus your 10% doesn't get paid, right? Is denied. So roughly 40%, right? You're down on the insured side. So you have patients come in all the time, are very hard to make any profit off of, and you have other patients that are profitable that don't come in. So what does a membership plan do? It gives the patient coverage. It gives them access to some discounts. Most importantly, though, they're paying a subscription for access to their hygiene visits. Mm-hmm. And so on average on our platform, a patient pays $30 a month. That goes directly to the practice. That's not given to Kleer. That goes to the practice. Doesn't go to insure, doesn't go to a third party, right? It goes straight to the practice. And for that $30 a month, again, it'll range from $20 to $50 a month, depending on the type of plan and where you are from an economic standpoint, like where you're located. But the net is that patient, for paying that subscription, gets their 2 cleanings or 2 exams, right? Their x-rays, typically an emergency exam. We'll design this for the practice, customize for the practice, depending what their treatment protocol is. But since they're paying that subscription, they come into your office for their hygiene visits. So it goes from a fee-for-service patient who comes in once every 2 years to a membership plan patient who comes in 1.5 times a year. That's the numbers. So they come in 3 times more often. What happens when somebody's in hygiene? They accept treatment. Right. So 75% of all treatment is accepted in the hygiene chair. So it creates this cycle where they come in, they get treatment, they get their hygiene, they accept treatment. And so getting to the numbers, what we do is we actually pull the data from the practice management systems. And to your point, my CTO has a PhD in machine learning from Penn, and he's created a whole data infrastructure to do the measuring and the algorithms on top of that to make sure it's accurate. But the net is when you measure a Kleer patient who's using a membership plan versus a fee-for-service patient, their visits, they come in twice as often. Your percentages are correct. They accept 142% more treatment. Production is about 172% more, and collections are 182% more. It is so consistent, Kirk. It might go up and down a little bit practice by practice, but we've been measuring for 2 years now. And so we have a lot of practice data. It is amazingly consistent at those percentages. So it's just something, it's not us making up the numbers. These are numbers straight from the practice management systems of our practices.
Yeah, and I love it because, the first hurdle that most dentists have to get over is like, no, I get full fee and my patients come in all the time. Well, the data would tell you something different. And Dave, you're not on to something new to just dentistry alone. I mean, memberships are not a new concept. They exist for a reason in most businesses. And I would actually say it's silly to create any business that doesn't have a membership plan. You know, they're more stable businesses. And the reason they're more stable to be purchased, transferred, grown, scale is they're predictable. And so the data always comes back to telling us the truth. I want to go back to something because quantitatively and qualitatively about your data, the other thing I appreciate is you're really trying to get behind the emotional aspect of patients. You use the word, you know, exposed. That's a great word because, you know, a lot of people, if they don't go to a dentist because they don't perceive that coverage or that help or that benefit. And I think if you can just get over that first huddle, the other thing, I mean, I could talk. I could actually take over this podcast and you could just sit there and nod your head because I'm such a fan. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. The other thing is that, you know, if you've ever been in the PPO conversation, you're just tired of having that conversation. Somebody else is playing with dials and controlling your future. The cool thing is you reclaim the dials and you play with your own future. What a great business plan that is. And then we get to the automation part. What you guys are introducing this next quarter is the game changer. I think you're using that data and you're automating. Here's an example, recovering payments. That is a pain in the rear for most practices, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, where we're headed, the platform as it stands today automates a lot of things, right? So it automates the subscription payments. It automates the renewals. It has compliance built in. We automate some of the, we have marketing materials for people. So we've automated a lot of the membership plan. But what we've learned, launching thousands and thousands of practices is there's other areas we can do better at and make it more efficient and more automated. So for example, subscription payments right now. Subscription payments we process them on a subscription platform and then we deposit that right into the dentist's bank account. Well, currently somebody needs to enter those into the practice management system. So typically our practices once a month, we'll put those payments into the practice management system. Not a great use of time, right? There's overhead there. But the net is you mentioned at the beginning, we're launching something called Kleer Intelligence. And Kleer Intelligence is our proprietary integration with the practice management systems. So we have access to the practice management systems. We can pull that data in and we can write data back in certain instances back to the practice management system. So one of the things we're going to automate is the posting of those subscription payments. So if you have monthly payment plans or annual payment plans or some mix of the two, when that payment gets processed, we'll also write it back into the practice management system and nobody needs to enter that data into the practice management system. So that's one automation feature that comes with Kleer Intelligence. And another one that, it sounds small, but it's one that the office managers really appreciate is now that we have access to the patient data and practice management system, if a patient walks up and wants to join your membership plan, all you have to do is query that name of that patient, select that patient, and we'll autofill all their information, name, address, phone number, email, all that good stuff that we need on our side. So you don't need to do that. The practices don't need to do that anymore. Benefit tracking status. So we'll have access to the practice management system. If they have, let's say, 2 cleanings included in their subscription and they've used one and we know there's one remaining, it'll be real easy for us to let the office manager and also the patient know there's one cleaning left, right? And so if they come in for their cleaning, this one's part of the subscription versus having to charge them. So there's tracking things like that and automation things like that. There's other things. I'll just stop there. That's sort of some of the core automation features that will be coming with Kleer Intelligence. Lots of other features outside of that, but that's the automation side.
Right. Now, piggyback on that because there's never been a harder time in hiring in dentistry. And so it's hard enough as a dental practice to find the right people. And the last thing you want to do is give them 3,000, minuscule tasks to repeat over and over again. They got to be given their energy to things that matter most. And it really improves your overall profitability when you put systems like this in place. Now, one thing you were going down this path, but I also want to say this, most people might think a membership plan just benefits the practices. This really benefits patients. Can you talk about the patient side of it?
Absolutely. So I mentioned the market research we had done. So the net is part of our market research included one-on-one interviews with uninsured patients, roundtables where we'd bring like 8 or 9 uninsured patients into a room and talk to them. We did a national survey. And we also talked to practices themselves to try to understand the patient. And so the net of the uninsured patient is they want coverage. They actually feel really bad they don't have coverage, coming to the emotional component of it. They feel like they're not very financially savvy by just going in and paying cash, right? So this sort of financial overhang for them as well. And they also feel really bad that they're not getting the care they need. They know they need to come in. They really value oral health, but they can't get access to the care they need because they're worried about the cost. So the net of all the research said they're worried about cost. They don't want to negotiate. They want more care. So they're sort of stuck and exposed. That's sort of the net of it, right? And so what the membership plan does for them is they'll look at it and say, let's say $30 a month. They're like, wow, the feedback we get is that's very affordable. Like I can do that. Right. Can I do $250 on one visit? No, but I can do $30 a month, right, for access to the care I need. So it just enables them to get access to the care they want in a way that they can afford, in a way that makes it real easy for them to pay for. So it just is one, and it's classic subscription sort of model, and they're in all industries. And to your point, yeah, this is something that every industry has. Dentistry is a little late to it, but then we're catching up fast, and it is being proven as a great model within dentistry.
Yeah, and if you have any kids in college, you already know this conversation. Data engineer is like one of the hottest jobs in the world right now because companies need intelligence, understanding, the ability to read this data. And you guys, I would imagine, one of the cool things about Kleer is you guys are rolling this out slowly. You and I talk, and then you're always careful about, no, it's on the horizon, it's not ready to go. And I like that about you guys. And what you're building right now is a built-in intelligence platform. I would guess as you segment this patient base, one of the hardest challenges of any business is to figure out who your core customer is and start building more core customers from that core. How does Kleer take a look at that with the new platform?
Yeah, so I'll describe sort of what our rollout plan is. So it's right on the horizon. The first version of this is coming out by the end of this month. So by September 30th, we're going to be rolling out the first version of Kleer Intelligence. The way we ranked our features, back to the customers and making sure we focus on the customer value, is we asked our customers, which feature set would you like and in what order? And we had our customers prioritize it. The first one they wanted was automation. So they wanted the payment posting. That was feature number one. Can you post my subscription payments into practice management system? So as of 2 weeks or so from now, we will have that capability to do that. That will be live on the platform and practices can use it. The next automation feature was the autofill of the patient information. The third one was that, can I see where the benefit status is? How many have they used, like clean exams, x-rays that are included in the exam? How many are included in the subscription? How many are left? So those are like our first three sets of features. Now, the other one, though, that they have asked for that I haven't talked about yet. So we got this automation set. We have another set of features that we call Kleer Intelligence Growth. And this it helps a practice grow their membership. So the first feature that practices have asked for around that is, can you market to my patients? So can you just automatically market to them and I don't have to do anything? So what we've done is we built infrastructure where we can now identify different patient sets inside your data that are a good fit for your membership plan. The one we're most excited about is we've learned that there's about 2,500 dormant patients in every practice that are still in good standing. They weren't flagged as bad patients or, they didn't pay their bills or things like this. These are patients in good standing. 2,500 per practice.
Wow.
And so we're actually running a pilot right now where we break them down into what we call cohorts. So different patient sets, and we're testing different messages with those patient sets. So for example, one of our cohorts is any patient that's over 65 years old, who's uninsured, who has outstanding treatment, who has not been in the office for 18 months. Sounds like a pretty good patient, right? If you can get them back to the door. We're learning that they do like the idea of membership plans. They don't have access to insurance once somebody retires. A lot of these patients end up dropping off because they don't think they can afford care. So we run a series of emails over the course of 4 weeks to these patients to get them interested in the practice and book a visit. And then hopefully when they're in for the visit, they actually purchase a membership plan. And we're having success with that. So, that's just one example of sort of what these patient cohorts that we're working on. So the second feature set under Kleer Intelligence is going to be automated marketing and growing your membership without you having to do anything. We can just take care of it ourselves.
I love it. You're blowing up my brain already, and I don't even know how it's going to work. Another thing that you've got on the horizon is the ability to evaluate PPOs. Like, I think this – now, I also have to say this about you. Not every software company in the world wants to play nice with you. You guys you got to figure out workarounds, and I'm not pointing out anyone specifically, but this is a road that often people have to navigate themselves. You got to figure out, how are we going to gather this information, because they've got closed loop systems. I'm making that word up. I don't even know if that's a real word, but like you got to find your way in there to figure out how we can standardize this across all of our customer base. And with that being said, the PPO thing is just weird. I mean, we're doing it manually. We're working hard at the understanding of it. And the rules change all the time. The visibility on that information isn't the easiest. And so you guys are actually building it in so that you can track performance and evaluate PPOs eventually, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the next set, so we got Kleer Intelligence Automation, we got Kleer Intelligence Growth, and then Kleer Intelligence, what we're calling performance. And performance has two components to it. The first one, which we're going to put out first, before the PPO analysis, but before that, people are asking, how are my Kleer patients behaving relative to my insured and relative to my uninsured? So those stats we talked about before, the 172% increase in production and so on, we're going to show that to the practice for your patients, not some average on our platform. We'll build it right into your portal, the Kleer portal, where you can see how these different patient sets are behaving. And so if it's not working, we say, pull it, right? I mean, if we can't prove to you we have an ROI, then you should get off our platform. So we're going to show you your results. The second phase of that, though, is going to be PPO optimization, is what we're calling it. And so PPO optimization is, we can look at all your PPOs that you are either in network or out of network with. And by the way, we can analyze and understand if you're in network or out of network with them. And we can tell you exactly what your level of discounting is by PPO. And what we've done, we do this on the side for practices that are on our platform. The difference is we're going to build it into the platform for everybody. But when we do it on the side, practices typically know, if I'm collecting a certain percentage of my fee, then it's profitable for me. If I'm not, then it's probably not profitable for me. So we can very easily say, okay, Delta Dental, production for Delta Dental is $1 million a year, and you're collecting 65% of your full fee, right? What's really cool, Kirk, is when you stack them up against each other, you can see which ones are producing for you from a just total revenue perspective, and then which ones are producing for you from a collections perspective.
Right.
And if you want to move away from PPOs, where do you want to start? You want to start with the ones that are small production and low collections, right? Yeah. We can identify for that PPO for you right away. Like, it's bam, you see this graph we pull up and we're like, there it is. There's the one to start with. And it also tells you how these all your PPOs are behaving. And then you can branch off of that and say, okay, maybe a PPO is large, right? And I can't just walk away from them anytime soon. So why don't we try to renegotiate that, right? Or maybe I try to not bring any new patients into that, right? I sort of hold it at status quo and so on. And you guys are the experts here as far as the direction you give to a practice, but it provides the insight you need to start making those decisions.
Okay, well, you already got my attention. Like, you got to give us some perspective. What's the timeline for this? When are you rolling this out? Is this available now? Hey, that's my first question. My second one is, I already have an in-house membership. Like, can I pivot? Can I try both? Okay, go back to the first one. What's the first one? When can I see this?
So the first feature is coming out in 2 weeks. That's the payment posting. And then we have a series of features that we're going to be releasing every 6 weeks. So we're going to get into a steady 6-week rhythm of releasing features on top of Kleer Intelligence. So payment posting this release. In 6 weeks, we're going to be adding the automated patient autofill that I talked about when somebody comes up to your front desk. 6 weeks after that, we're going to be doing the benefit status, so you can understand exactly what somebody's used and not used. And then 6 weeks after that, we're on the fence right now, Kirk. So we're getting feedback. We're piloting the PPO analysis and we're piloting the automated marketing feature set. They're both getting a lot of good reviews and interest in wanting us to do it. We can't do them both at the same time. So one's going to be one and one's going to flip to the other side of the 6 weeks, but I don't know yet. That's still TBD based on what we learned from the pilots.
Yeah, you're a pretty smart businessman. Like, let's get those first 3 things working really well, and then what the other features too. So it'll be really cool to see all that. Now, the second question, I've already started a membership plan. Can I test yours, or not?
Sure, if you want to. So we don't charge anything up front. So you'll get our design consult. You'll get all the training you need. We'll send you all your marketing materials, including brochures for your office. We don't charge anything for any of that. And then we just charge based on how many patients you put onto the platform. So you can try it anytime, risk-free, right? It doesn't cost you anything. But if you have an in-house plan, I mean, our best customers come from people who've had in-house plans. And so the in-house plans, basically people typically, I'm not saying it's always done perfectly, but typically will understand there's a lot of value in this. But they start to break down when you get to 25, 30, 40 patients using it, because you don't know who signed up, when they signed up. You got to track credit cards. You got to track renewals, right? You don't know what type of benefits when they signed up for. Things like your fee schedule sometimes changes, right? And you're not sure which fee schedule they're under. So it just becomes a mess. We hear that over and over again. The front desk team goes nuts over managing the in-house plans, and you're leaving a ton of money on the table. So, for example, one feature will pay for Kleer on its own, which is auto renewal. So our membership plans just renew. Like, you don't have to do anything. Nobody needs to call anybody. If there's an issue with the credit card, we use a back-end payment processor that gets flagged right away. Like, when it happens, it gets flagged, the patient is notified, and your team is notified. Like, so you just keep all that leakage out of your subscription. And if you, not only is it good for you from a revenue perspective that those renewals just happen and your subscription revenue builds up over time on its own, but if you are going to some point exit and you want to sell your practice, you want to be able to prove that. You want to show an investor that my renewal rate is 80% on these subscriptions. You will get 5 times the value for that revenue than you will one-off revenue. That's what it gets valued at.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask. We talked about this last time, and this is business-wide. On average, subscription-based businesses sell at higher multiples because they're predictable. And that's what you were alluding to on the 5 times the value, right? They're just, I mean, and it really isn't that hard to figure out. If you're a buyer, you're like, well, this is kind of built in. This isn't built on the talent of a dentist or the communication abilities for the most part. You always want those things, but you've got the built-in business model. Am I saying that correctly?
Absolutely. So investors love to see sort of this automated revenue stream, right? That to them is gold. Mm-hmm. And obviously for yourself, like we have practices that are generating $1 million of subscription revenue a year. Like wouldn't that be nice? And like I said, that's going to get valued. If you do it right, when you're going to exit, you should get the average outside of dentistry is 5x. You'll get 5x the multiple on subscription revenue that you'll get on one-off revenue. So it's one of these things that becomes a really, really valuable tool for you, not just from a cash flow perspective here and now, but also once you exit, you'll have. So anyway, it's like that type of stuff is just, it's trying to do that on your own with a paper-based system or something that's sort of rigged, right? Just doesn't work. And if somebody's going to look at that, let's say down the road, they're not going to trust the information or data if it's sort of one-off and it's being done on the side.
Right. Now, I know you got over 7,000 installs in this, but like, give me a good case scenario. Say I'm a dentist listening. I'm 35. I got a great practice. I just put Kleer in. Like, give me an idea, like what success is if I do this well. How many patients do I have in a year? And just pick, anything that comes to top of mind, because I just want our listeners to get some perspective on this. Like, if 500 patients a good number to start, in the first couple of years, like what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so on average across the practices, there's a dentist on average has 1,200 patients. That's sort of what we see in the data. So 1,200 patients that have come in each year per dentist in a practice. Of that 1,200, there's about 300 that are uninsured. So you have about 300 active uninsured patients per dentist in a practice. Our first goal was to get 50% of them onto the membership plan within 12 months. And then after that, you sort of push towards about 75%. You won't ever get to 100%, right? And that's just your active uninsured. Once you get that under your belt and that's working well, then we say, let's start focusing on your dormant patients. So again, on average, you have 2,500 dormant patients in your practice. That is, from a conversion standpoint, we can't measure that too well right now because we just don't have access to the data and we're not doing the marketing to them. As we build Kleer Intelligence, we'll be able to tell you what's happening there and give you an idea of what that 2,500 can be moved over. We're assuming right now we can move 10% of it over to a membership plan. I just don't have the data that proves it. So coming back, roughly, if you can get to about 500, right, per dentist in your practice onto the platform, that's basically what we're looking at $30 a month or $360 a year. I didn't do that math, Kirk, but that's your subscription revenue.
And that's where I was going with this. If 500 patients, $30 a month, that becomes a very predictable revenue stream that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's really a very important retention piece, and you're building real patients that'll stay with you for a very long time. Now, here's where I'm going with this.
Kirk, just sorry, real quick. So that is just the subscription piece. So remember what I said at the beginning, production almost more than doubles. It almost triples. So that 170%, if you translate that, 172%, if you translate that to a multiple, it's about 2.5 times more revenue from treatment than you would get normally. So you take that subscription plus more than double the treatment, fillings, crowns, right, and so on, in order to really get what the real impact of your membership plan is. So it has a significant impact even outside the subscription.
Yeah, the significant impact of plugging in the system, obviously top line. And now let's look at the bottom line. So we talked about the 500 patients and the revenue, but you talked about renewals. Let's say there's 500 people doing renewals. The labor with 500 renewals. Wow. Now, here's another thing. Let me go here. Let's say I'm the dentist that does this. Okay, so I got 500 patients, Dave. Of the 500 renewals, how many failed credit card payments can I expect in a year out of 500? You know what I mean? So like there's going to be some credit cards that go through, but out of 500 credit card charges, how many of them fail in that respect?
So we have about failed credit cards is roughly 10% of the population. That's just something you can't move.
Right.
It just happens, right? So yeah, so think about 50 a year is what you're dealing with.
Yeah, 50 people you got to track down per year and say, hey, you know, and with a system in place. I absolutely love it. So I got to ask, I know you've got other things going on, and I always love every minute I get with you. I'm a big fan, as you guys can see. I've had you on many times. I love what you guys do for our clients. I love how you work. I see many benefits. One of my favorite is the CE you provide me. Like you provide great CE for me, our community. I'm always learning. Another benefit outside of just is the support aspect of things. You know, anytime we have a client who's on Kleer, they're like, dude, the support is just, you know, second to none. What are some other benefits people can expect outside of what we've already discussed from Kleer?
Yeah, so I hate to, I don't typically use the word white glove, but what we do is we make sure you're going to be successful. It's sort of the net of all of that. So obviously we talked about the platform and all the things we're doing there and new features around Kleer Intelligence. But from the moment you start talking to our business development team, we're basically trying to understand what type of practice do you have? What are the patient demographics? What are your goals? And then we customize the membership plan to meet those goals and support it properly for you to be successful. So our business development team, when they hand an account over to our success team, they have all the information they need in order to really jump in and start making this successful. Starting with, they'll do an hour consult with you to make sure the plan is designed right, is priced right, that your team is going to understand it. They set up training for you and your team. They ship you, like I said, all the customized marketing materials, things like that. Like this isn't like we drop software and go. Remember, we don't get paid a dime until a member gets onto the platform. So we're aligned, we're partners. And we hear that, you sort of mentioned in the beginning, we hear that all the time from our customers is they just love our success team. And Kirk, you were mentioning ADOM in the beginning of this thing. We brought one of our Kleer success managers out to ADOM with us. She was getting hugs from our customers.
I love
it. I can't feel, like, doesn't make, there's nothing better for me than that. Like, I'm not doing this like just, you know, whatever, just as a thing to build and sort of whatever, you know, make money off of it. To me, it's that emotional side. It's that having an impact. I feel passionate about all this. And it's not just, you know, I have passion for dentists, I have passion for patients, but I also have passion for my team. Like those three things come together to me is what this is all about. And that's why I'm here.
Amen, brother. I love it. I love it. So real quickly, if I'm listening, how do I find out more about Kleer? You know, Kleer is not spelled C-L-E-A-R. It's spelled K-L-E-E-R. Where can I go to find out? Where do I start?
Right there, go just to kleer.com, K-L-E-E-R.com. And you'll see up there, we have case studies, white papers, all kinds of stuff you can go take a look at. You also see up there, if you want to book a consult with somebody from our team, you can do that, and they'll show you the platform, answer your questions, and take good care of you. So everything's up at kleer.com.
Yeah, and I can't remember offhand, like, because it really isn't the important piece of it. But if you mention you heard it here at the Best Practices Show, they'll give you a little something special. And I can't, I don't even care what it is. Like, I just know that you guys always do right by people. So make sure you check it out.
So, Kirk, I forgot to mention, yeah. So we pull all Act Dental team members together, and you get discounts based on the full community of ACT Dental. So you'll get a nice discount off of our fees for being part of ACT. So let people know, let my team know when you are getting your consult that you're part of the ACT Dental team.
Hey, thank you, Dave, from all of us. So awesome. I'm going to keep having you back again and again and again. And I didn't even ask you if you wanted to come back. I'm just telling you, you're coming back. And as you roll out these new features, I really want our community to learn behind what you're learning, you know, and share that learning so that they can create a better practice and a better life. So, buddy, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Kirk. I appreciate you having me.
Awesome. We'll stick around when we say goodbye to everybody else, but thank you guys for listening to the Best Practice Show podcast. I can't even talk today. Hey, if you enjoyed today, I know you did, just do us a favor, hit the share button, share this with your friends. Keep sending us suggestions for things that you guys want to see. You're going to see, I got it all lined up in the fall. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be awesome. And until we see you guys next time, keep watching or keep listening to the Best Practices Show. You guys enjoy your day.